We all think we know Volvo, right? Big, safe, yellow iron. But there is a secret history here. A history of trucks that didn't just haul cargo, they hauled industries forward. Today, we are taking a trip through time, winding the clock back to 1928 to find the 15 best Volvo trucks ever made. 15. Volvo Series 1 LV4, 1928. Number 15 is the Series 1 LV4 from 1928. This rig was the foundation. It rolled out of Gothenburg, Sweden, and immediately proved that Sweden could build its own muscle. Now, before you laugh at this number, listen to what they built this thing with: a tiny 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine. It was pumping out just 28 horsepower. 28. That's less power than most lawnmowers today. But here's why it matters. This little box on wheels could haul 1,500 kilos. Back then, the roads looked more like goat trails than highways. The first cabs? They were wood, with open sides. It was literally a box on wheels. Volvo wasn't making money on passenger cars back then. But this truck printed Volvo's future. They sold 500 units before that first summer was even over. The LV4 wasn't fancy, but it put Volvo's flag in the ground, announcing, "We build our own, and we build them tough." Today, it sits in museums, grinning like a grandfather who knows he started it all. 14. Volvo Titan L395, 1951. The world was roaring back after the war, and trucking needed muscle. Volvo's answer was number 14, the Titan L395, introduced in 1951. The name, Titan, wasn't subtle, and neither was the size. When the L395 showed up, it was the biggest truck Volvo had ever made. Under that massive hood sat a 9.6-liter diesel engine. This was serious equipment, powering long hauls and heavy construction. It generated 150 horsepower. That was serious grunt for the time. But 150 horsepower wasn't enough for Volvo. They decided to rewrite the rulebook entirely, because they knew that simply making things bigger wasn't the secret to winning. They needed brains and boost. And that brings us to one of the biggest leaps in trucking history. 13. The Titan Turbo Introduction, 1954. In 1954, Volvo did something that spun the whole trucking industry on its head, and that's why the Titan Turbo, the L395 variant, is number 13 on our list. They slapped a turbo onto that 9.6-liter diesel engine. The result? Power jumped to 185 horsepower, all for just 25 extra kilos of hardware. This wasn't just an upgrade. They were the first to successfully shrink turbo technology into trucks without blowing fuel costs sky high. Imagine that, a massive gain in efficiency and power, and the technology was compact enough to manage. This decision set the trajectory for the entire transport sector. By the 1980s, turbos were completely standard across the board, and Volvo started it. The Titan sold over 200,000 units across its life cycle. It proved that smart thinking beat brute force alone. 12. Volvo Viking L38, 1953. While the Titan was busy dominating heavy construction, Volvo needed a reliable medium-duty champion, and they found it in number 12, the Viking L38. Rolled out 2 years after the Titan in 1953, the Viking wasn't flashy, but it absolutely conquered its territory. It was built with a solid frame and a dependable diesel engine. Eventually, Volvo added power steering, which drivers absolutely loved. This truck did the job without fighting back, and that's what mattered in the 1950s. The Viking was a true success story, becoming Volvo's most victorious vehicle in Sweden. It outsold its rivals and helped spread Volvo's influence abroad. Look closely at the Viking, and you can even see subtle aerodynamic tweaks, a quiet whisper of the future design ideas Volvo was testing. The Viking bridged the post-war gap and cemented Volvo as the transportation king. 11. Volvo F88, 1965. By the mid-1960s, Volvo decided to stop just serving Sweden and aim for the whole world. Cue the F88, released in 1965, our number 11. The F88 was the vehicle that told the world Volvo meant safety. Why? Because it featured the very first crash-tested cab. Before this truck, many manufacturers treated drivers as secondary cargo, but Volvo said, no, drivers are worth protecting. This rig came with up to 260 horsepower, and, just as importantly, tilted cabs. That meant checking the engine wasn't a full-blown gym workout anymore. The F88 cracked tough markets worldwide, including the US. It ran hard until 1977. This truck symbolized safety, strength, and export success, the true breakthrough rig for Volvo. 10. The F88 G88 variant, 1970s. A simple tweak can completely alter a truck's job description and capability. That's why we're giving a dedicated spot to the number 10 entry, the G88 variant of the F88. The G88 took the already successful F88 platform and stretched the axle forward. This structural change wasn't just aesthetic, it was about sheer capacity. Moving the axle allowed for significantly more load capacity within legal limits. In the business of hauling, where fleet managers count pennies and kilos, the G88 was pure profit maximization. It proved that Volvo wasn't afraid to adjust its winning formula to meet specific logistical demands, securing contracts that required that extra bit of permitted payload. It took an icon and made it even more profitable. 9. Volvo F12, 1977. If the F88 introduced safety, the next truck introduced the idea that long-haul drivers deserved genuine comfort. Our number 9 is the F12, launched in 1977. Before the late 70s, life on the road was rough. Rigs shook, rattled, and rolled, wearing drivers out. The F12 changed this by introducing spiral cab suspension. This technology cut vibrations significantly, resulting in a much smoother and safer ride. The engines were impressive too, climbing up to 385 horsepower. But the cab itself was the quiet revolution. The F12 was sold in huge numbers, over 200,000 units by 1993. Drivers swore by it. Suddenly, Volvo wasn't just building trucks that hauled. They were building trucks that truly cared for the person behind the wheel. 8. F12 Globe Trotter Cab, 1979. The F12 was good, but the addition of number 8, the Globe Trotter Cab in 1979, was the comfort bomb that fundamentally changed long-haul trucking forever. This wasn't just a sleeper, it was a true apartment on the road. It featured a raised roof, giving the driver room to stand, stretch, and sleep without feeling like they were locked in a shoebox. Think about the stakes here. Drivers spend weeks or months living in their rigs. Before the Globetrotter, this lifestyle often felt cramped and debilitating. After the Globetrotter, it felt manageable, even luxurious. Comfort had officially entered trucking history. The Globetrotter made Volvo a leader in driver retention because drivers simply preferred working in a rig that felt like a proper home. We've seen Volvo invent cab safety and driver comfort. Next, we jump ahead nearly 2 decades to a truck that sold nearly 1.4 million units worldwide. 7. FH Series Airbag Technology, 1993. When Volvo dropped the FH Series in 1993, they didn't just introduce a truck. They introduced a statement about uncompromising safety and style. Our number 7 focuses on a specific, life-saving feature within that series: the introduction of airbags in heavy trucks. Airbags were standard in cars, but for massive, multi-ton trucks, they were considered complex or unnecessary by some. Volvo changed that attitude. By slapping airbags into heavy trucks, Volvo once again confirmed their position as the guardian of the highway. They took passenger car safety tech and adapted it for the toughest vehicles on the road. This wasn't just an option. It was a clear signal that every possible measure should be taken to protect the driver in the event of a crash. The FH series was already setting records for aerodynamics and fuel efficiency, but the integration of advanced safety features like the airbag made it far more than just a powerful machine. It was a safe machine. 6. Volvo FH12 Series, 1993. Now we get to the truck series that became a legend almost immediately. The FH series, specifically the FH12, are number 6. Launched in 1993, the FH series was built with aerodynamic cabs and efficient D12 engines. These designs were meticulously tested in wind tunnels, allowing the rigs to slice through the air, save fuel, and set new efficiency records. But here's the unbelievable part: the proof that this design was simply correct. The FH has sold nearly 1.4 million units across 80 markets. That figure is insane. That's more than many passenger car models ever sell. The FH introduced the I-Shift transmission, cementing Volvo's reputation for innovation. It became Volvo's best-selling statement that power, safety, and style could coexist without compromise. 5. Volvo VNL, 1996. Volvo knew that if they wanted to succeed in the massive North American market, they needed a different kind of truck. They needed something long, sleek, and comfortable. In 1996, they unveiled the VN, later renamed VNL, our number 5. This truck was born specifically for American highways. It featured a long bonnet and an aerodynamic body. But the real secret to its success was its efficiency. The VNL slashed fuel use by 15% to 20%. That is a huge, huge deal when trucking fleets measure their success in pennies per mile. For over 25 years, the VNL has been the face of Volvo in North America. Ask any long-haul driver in the US what Volvo stands for, and the answer is usually just one word: VNL. It also packed vest stability technology for enhanced safety. 4. The VNL VN770 Sleeper, early 2000s. The VNL was designed for long-haul comfort, but our number 4, the VN770 model, took that comfort to an extreme. This variant offered sleepers that were so comfortable, they actually made motel owners nervous. The VN770 felt less like a truck cab and more like a rolling apartment. This move wasn't about vanity, it was economic genius. By giving drivers an incredibly comfortable and spacious place to live and rest, companies could maximize driving hours and driver satisfaction. It was another way Volvo showed that they cared for the driver. The legacy of the Globe Trotter was carried forward and expanded dramatically for the massive distances covered on the US interstate system. 3. Volvo FMX, 2010. Not every truck spends its life on clean asphalt highways. Some are meant to dive straight into mud, gravel, mines, and construction sites. Our number 3, the FMX, launched in 2010, was built for the dirty work. The FMX was based on the standard FM series, but was completely beefed up for extreme duty. It came with reinforced bumpers, high ground clearance, and steel skid plates. This was a truck with its hard hat firmly strapped on. Engines went up to 540 horsepower. It was designed to drag loads through terrain that would eat normal rigs for breakfast. The FMX proved that Volvo wasn't just about shiny international hauls. It was about tackling brutal off-road jobs too. Construction, mining, extreme environment hauling. The FMX dominated them all. The next truck is the one that sits at the very top of the food chain, engineered with efficiency that seems to defy physics. 2. Volvo FH16, 2012 renewal. This is where the muscle comes in. Our number 2 entry is the monster, the FH16, renewed and reinforced in 2012. This truck is the flagship, the crown jewel. It was built for the heaviest loads, the nastiest climbs, and the longest pulls. And the power figure? Up to 780 horsepower. Let that number truly sink in. That is domination. But even with that brute force, Volvo wasn't sacrificing efficiency. They added turbo compounding technology, which squeezes efficiency out of every ounce of power. Tests showed this monster could achieve over 12 miles per gallon. That is an absurd figure for a truck capable of carrying half a mountain. The FH16 is pure Volvo, spacious, safe, clutter-free, and refined. It doesn't just haul, it absolutely dominates the road. This truck represents the pinnacle of diesel power and design that the industry has ever seen. 1. Volvo VNR Electric, 2020. The VNR Electric, introduced in 2020, isn't chasing horsepower records. It is chasing zero emissions and zero noise. This truck is the new age of transport. It uses 264 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery packs. It can run up to 150 miles on a single charge. And get this, regenerative braking feeds power back into the system. It can recharge to 80% capacity in just over an hour. The VNR Electric is already carving market share across North America and Europe. While it lacks the classic noise and smell of a Titan, it speaks a profound truth. The next generation of icons won't burn fuel. They'll save it. It is safe, comfortable, and proof that Volvo is ready to define the next century of hauling. From the tiny LV4 that started it all to this silent giant, Volvo has continuously redefined what a truck can be. Volvo trucks have done more than just carry freight. They've carried history itself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.